Why are we suddenly seeing an uptick in discussion for Flower Guardians? So, make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that Flower Guardian button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So, OCG ban list dropped, and one of the strangest conversations that has been popping up right now has been Flower Guardians are a meta stopper. And this is all because of the level 6 synchro, the Boardafly. Now, Boardafly is kind of a heavy monster to make. It's a tuner plus 2 non-tuners to make it. But if a Flower Guardian monster you control attacks a defense position monster, you get piercing damage. And then once per turn, you can banish a Flower Guardian monster from graveyard. Till the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent cannot activate the effects of cards in the graveyard, and they cannot special summon monsters from the graveyard. So the first thing you're telling me here is we get a graveyard control mechanism that's going to lock the opponent out of actually playing the game. Also, Droll Lockbird evidently going to 1 is also enough of a discussion to talk about Flower Guardians actually being a viable option. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I think this still feels a little bit far-fetched, but when you've got enough eyes kind of turning onto an archetype and actually having it be a discussion is kind of interesting. And also, evidently, Cool Tunes just cannot break through some of the tools that the Flower Guardian deck actually has going for. I never thought I'd see Flower Guardian being a mechanism tool to anti-meta Cool Tunes of all things, but this is where we are. So I don't know what to say about this. I think this is just absurdly interesting as a topic of conversation, but like, not a lot of people know how Flower Guardians work. So if there's a design space for this deck to suddenly turn into a monster, we'll see. Gotta talk about the Buster Lock. So this has been something else that's kind of been in the back of people's minds for a little while. And honestly, I'm not entirely like sold on the idea of the Buster Lock, but I've already seen the inclusion of the different Buster Whelps being included in some of the Spellcaster piles. So first of all, the Spellcaster pile has been kind of evolving into different directions. There's a lot of cool, unique ideas and things that you can try to mess around with in these builds, but also it comes down to the Protector Whelp, the Link 2 that's able to end up searching for one of these pieces, and then you're going to have to use the magical powers of the different tool sets that you have to kind of cheat the Buster Whelp onto one of your cards. And congratulations, you've effectively found a mechanism to lock your opponent out of advancing the game state. Lock mechanisms like this in the current age is not a unheard of thing. And I mean, if we did have the Union Carrier still existing, I mean, we'd be doing a lot more crazy shenanigans with the locking mechanisms, but that's just not what we're seeing right now. I do find that this is an interesting topic of conversation because, you know, having tools that can put monsters onto other monsters, and these monsters actually having additional effects that can be used to put, you know, devastating effects on the opponent are 100% conversations that we do need to be looking at, we do need to be having with that. But I wanted to bring that up because, you know, this might eventually become a problem on our side of the game that we're gonna have to kind of advance and look at. So, Cool Tunes and Elf Notes. Both of these decks are supposed to be the two boogeymen of the upcoming format. We don't know everything in Chaos Origins just yet. You know, I do want to kind of floor that into the discussion as, you know, we're kind of going here. Like, there are certain aspects that could change with this. And I mean, it's already surprising enough to me that Konami managed to somehow take Cool Tunes and turn them into a top meta contending deck. But I mean, like, you gave the deck extra extensions, you've given the deck interruptions, targeting, negates. It was about an amount of time until you gave these decks, the right amount of tools to be able to control the opponents. And, it's been pretty good. Same thing with Elf Notes. Elf Notes, if you've not actually had the chance to play against Elf Notes, I think you need to learn that matchup very, very quickly, because being able to do like the column rotations, you do have cards that protect your thing in the main monster zone, and also you're a synchro spam deck. You're able to set up incredibly devastating fields on the opponent. I mean, Crystal Wing being one of those powerhouse boss monsters that you can kind of throw at your opponent. Also, I mean, Crystal Wing get thick, Crystal Wing get big. Crystal Wing actually do a lot for you on the end board. Like, there might be times where you don't like the card, but I mean, that's just fine. You don't have to like every single boss monster that you play, but I mean, like, there's a reason why you play these certain boss monsters for these interactions so that you can kind of set them up. But these are going to be your two strongest, I think, challengers that you're going to kind of be dealing with here in the future, which is kind of fine. Which brings us to Sky Striker. This one's for us. Sky Striker's budget right now, and this is especially with Sky Striker being predicted to be one of the highest tiered decks in the OCG, kind of moving forward into this new format. You do have to take some heavy consideration with budget Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point. Also for us, granted, I mean, Forbidden Crowns are an entirely different topic of expensiveness, and I mean, that's just fine. But as we've seen, as time has kind of progressed the meta, and we've got players that are like, oh, hey, using Sky Striker, at least having to develop some of the skills in order to make the deck, board break through, and kind of rely on these good scenarios is usually pretty devastating for the matchup. So, where do we go with Sky Striker from here? I think if you learn the tool set and you learn how to play the deck very, very well, I think you will have a deck that will be fine. The only downside that you've got to remember is it is a toolbox deck. You have to know which armaments you need to pull when. I would also compare the deck to, if you played back in the day and you're coming back, it's Prophecy, spellbooks. It plays effectively the same way. You're using different tools at your disposal to kind of pull through and to find what are going to be the perfect tool options to make sure that you can get out of whatever situation you have found yourself in. And I truly think that is the best topic of conversation. But this deck, OCG is predicting that it is going to be a wee little bit of a monster. I mean, to be expected, right? Considering, different tools are going to be able to make this deck effectively a lot stronger is going to be a problem. And I mean, Striker going into Cool Tune and Elf Note is not an entirely terrible matchup. You're just going to have to really, really, really work for those W's. And then we have Chaos Origin. So the rest of this set is an incredibly power wild card, man. Looking at how, the fears of the new set are kind of setting up, and, the absurdities of the future curve are really kind of pushing things to go into different directions right now, is pretty good. Chaos Origins sets the stage to probably one of the more interesting potential game shakeups that we've had. And I think it's very interesting to see as we shift from one era to the next, that we are actually able to see, these crazy shifts within the spikes of the meta and where, different directions are going with this game. And I mean, building every set going forward with new decks that you can build straight out of the pack is going to really shake up the meta. And it'll be interesting to see, are we going to support these in future sets, or are we just expecting everything to pop out in the first set? If they do keep up the pattern of supporting them over multiple sets, that will be kind of something a little bit interesting to see. But that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs to do, and they need to continue doing this forward. So, I don't know, this new meta that they've got coming up with Chaos Origins It's probably going to be one of the biggest meta shifts in quite some time. And that's what we need to see. We need to see the game changing, and we're finally getting something with that. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back in the day, guys.
Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.